It's been a while since I've done a video reacting to your Batman Arkham / gaming hot takes, but mostly these videos are surrounded by the Batman Arkham franchise. So, like I said, been a while since I've done one of these videos, so today I wanted to make a video doing your guys' Batman Arkham hot takes, and that's pretty much what this video is going to be about. Now, just for reference, you are allowed to put in other sort of gaming hot takes, but since this channel is predominantly Batman Arkham, that's going to be the majority of where these hot takes are going to come from, because that's mostly what we talk about here on this channel. Cool? Cool. But without wasting too much of your time, I want to get right into the first hot take, and it comes to us from @FireGatorPF5MY. He says, my hot take is 1. Arkham Knight is the best game in the whole franchise. Best graphics, best combat, best stealth, large variety of playable and non-playable characters. And we even get some really good side missions and good DLC. I know there's a decent amount of mistakes, but even if you don't agree, it is very, very underrated. Oh, and Joker singing too. Joker singing is something that seems to have gone straight under the radar in a lot of people's eyes. It's not really something I see people talk about enough, and I do think you're right in that instance. Now, in terms of the overall gameplay, graphics, stealth, all that good stuff, yes, Arkham Knight is the best game in the franchise. I don't think that's too hot of a take. I don't really think that's too much up for debate, but a large variety of playable and non-playable characters. While that's true, not very many of them are good. And as for very good side missions, I would say they're kind of hit and miss. Some of the best ones in this game are like the pig side mission or doing the Harvey Dent bank robbery ones, but outside of that, there's a lot of very repetitive ones, you know, like the own the streets and stuff like that, the rooftop ones. A lot of them are just very repetitive and there's too much of it, and then it leads to a very crappy Deathstroke boss battle. Now, there is some good DLC, mostly the Season of Infamy and A Matter of Family. And funnily enough, Matter of Family was not even made by Rocksteady. It was made by WB Games, which, in my opinion, is pretty hilarious. And yeah, there is a decent amount of mistakes made in this game overall. But yeah, I can agree with some of what you're saying. The only thing I can't really get behind is saying that there get some really good side missions. There's like 2, and the rest of them are kind of crappy, in my opinion. Your second thing is Riddler's mission in Night is the best. If you don't include the trophies, it's actually a pretty good side quest, and it is pretty fun. Yeah, like the actual Riddler rooms themselves, I do agree are kind of fun. Like, I like going around with the Batmobile and solving these puzzles, because even though people say it's just a way to force in the Batmobile, I'd also say it's really good level design overall. I had a lot of fun going through room to room, at least in my opinion. Yeah, the trophies are a pain, but as an actual side quest, when you go through the rooms and you're freeing Selina Kyle and the boss fight and all that, it's not bad. It's some of Arkham Knight's better side mission work, in my opinion at least. And your third take is Mr. Freeze doesn't have the best boss fight. He's for sure top 3 boss fight, but it's just hard to play his fight. After doing it 5 times, really fun the first 2 times, but it gets boring after you know all the tricks. I would say Deadshot or Deathstroke are the best fights. Both give you a challenge and are still fun after replaying. So I can kind of see what you're getting at here, you know. Saying Mr. Freeze doesn't have the best boss fight, I think a lot of people would definitely disagree with that, but yes, he's absolutely top 3 boss fight, regardless of what people say, right? That's just a fact. And having Deadshot in there is a good one from Arkham Origins, because that one's a bit more, it's gotten a bit more under the radar, because Arkham Origins in general kind of went under the radar a little bit, and it's known for its good boss fights and the variety of boss fights, so sometimes the Deadshot one kind of gets overlooked because of how good the Deathstroke one was. But in my opinion, Deadshot's actually better than Deathstroke, at least in my opinion. The Deathstroke one's fine. I like it. It has some copy and paste elements of the Ra's al Ghul boss fight, but it's a good boss fight. But in my opinion, Deadshot's is better. I would say he's number 2, and then I would have Mr. Freeze at number 1, and have Ra's al Ghul at number 3. Just my opinion. Our second hot take of the video comes to us from GBranton2992. And he says, my hot take, Ra's al Ghul's boss fight is vastly overrated, and personally my least favorite. It doesn't fit with the rest of the games. The giant statue in the middle looks like it's from a fantasy type game. Gameplay wise, it's meh, except for the reverse batarang, which is an awful way to close it out. For me, it was just slightly too much. Not all of Batman's villains have to be realistic or anything, but I do think the plausibility of Batman and most of his rogues gallery are a big reason for his success. Okay, I agree with especially that last part of what you said, that part of the reason why Batman works is due to the realism, right? You take a look at any other superhero, and there is not one that comes close to the realism that Batman has. And I can kind of see what you're getting at when you talk about the Ra's al Ghul boss fight kind of being like a meh, like a fantasy type game type scenario. I kind of see what you're getting at there. And the reverse battering, I think it's fine. I think it's a little bit too simple. I would have preferred an actual fight in that room that we do the reverse battering in. I don't remember the name of the room. But where we throw the reverse battering, I would have rather have had a good boss fight in there. So I kind of see what you're getting at. As for the actual boss fight in and of itself with the big statue in the middle, I think it's very good. I understand that why people might say it's overrated, but me personally, I thought it was very good because of the fact that you have to be constantly elusive around multiple targets at the same time while also trying to get your own offense and cause damage onto your enemy. In this case, Ra's al Ghul. So I kind of understand what you're getting at here. I understand the fantasy thing. Yes, you could argue it doesn't necessarily fit, and it's about the realism. I agree with you there that it's a bit unrealistic, and the whole point of Batman is kind of more about realism. So I kind of see what you're getting at there, but overrated in my opinion, I don't think so. But I like this take because it's logical, and I see where you're coming from. Now, our next hot take is sort of not a Batman Arkham one with a touch of Arkham in it. It's more of a generalized gaming hot take, and it comes to us from Death Valley 1980. And he says, at times, when I play games that are critically and commercially acclaimed, I don't enjoy them at all. But I may love games that are mediocre. I played GTA 5 for 10 hours, and I did not enjoy a second of it. On the other hand, I played Darksiders 3, and loved it despite its flaws. Also, Arkham Knight for me was the best game of the series. Well, I don't think that's necessarily a hot take. It kind of just comes down to your preference. If you prefer gameplay, story, whatever. And if gameplay is your favorite aspect, then yeah, Arkham Knight's probably going to be your favorite. As for critically and commercially acclaimed games, I think that has something to do with the fact that when a game is, so held up to a high standard and it's supposed to be good, that it doesn't really live up to the hype because it's supposed to be good. There's a lot more pressure for it to deliver. Whereas when you take a game, think of any game off the top of your head, that's kind of meant to be a bit more goofy and cartoony and just fun. It's not meant to be a AAA style game. You'll have more fun with it because there's not so much pressure on it to be fun. There isn't like pressure that the gameplay in itself has to be absolutely amazing. And some people like goofier style games, and that's perfectly fine. It kind of just comes down to whatever you personally prefer. Like GTA 5, for instance, is a AAA title game. The graphics are beautiful, the world design, everything's very good about the game. But the gameplay itself is kind of mediocre in my opinion. It's fine. It's not the best thing I've ever played in the world. Now, don't get me wrong, GTA 5 story is not bad at all, and there are some AAA games that are absolutely amazing. Don't get me wrong with that, but I think it's because they're supposed to be really good that I think people kind of have too high of expectations for how they're supposed to be. For instance, my generalized gaming hot take is that I don't think GTA 6 is going to be a good game. And that's just simply because of the fact that I don't think that it's been like overhyped for so long, right? Like GTA 5 came out 12 years ago now. So now we're in a position where GTA 6 has to be like perfect, otherwise people are going to hate it. No, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game in and of itself, but I don't think it's going to be a very good game because we've been waiting for so long, so it has to deliver perfectly. And no game is perfect, so I think it's going to under-deliver. Our fourth hot take of the video comes to us from Tyler Outland 435. And he says, hot take, Batman Arkham Knight is easily the weakest Arkham game and one of the worst sequels I have ever played. The story was easily the worst, the writing was terrible, the boss fights were terrible, repetitive side quests, I didn't want Joker in the game in any aspects, I like Scarecrow way more in Asylum than Knight, no explanation of how Scarecrow survived Killer Croc, most of the DLCs sucked, the ending sucked, Harley Quinn's story sucked in Arkham Knight, stupid Joker blood plot, way too much Batmobile, terrible tank battles, terrible Cobra tanks, Jason Phillips Force. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, but it's funny because the last one said that Arkham Knight's the best, and now this one's saying Arkham Knight's absolutely the worst. So we got two complete opposite ends of the spectrum here. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's the weakest game. It depends on how you define the weakest game. In terms of gameplay, it's the best. Right? Combat, stealth, absolutely the best. Even Batmobile combat is good in my opinion. But the story's easily the worst. I can get behind that. I do think it's the worst in terms of writing, simply because the villains aren't really that interesting. It's like the Arkham Knight's just this guy who hates Batman and we're building up suspense as to who he is. It's not the worst idea in the world, I don't mind that, but because it was Jason Todd, it kind of just falls flat. All that anticipation for a very mediocre reveal. As for Scarecrow, I agree. He was much better in Arkham Asylum. You know, those... I don't even know what you would call them. It's almost like Mario-style missions, the side-scroll type of thing, where you have to escape his little world where you're under his fear toxin. He was much more interesting and much more dangerous in Arkham Asylum, whereas in Arkham Knight, it kind of felt like he took a backseat as a way to, like, have this mysterious Arkham Knight character and try to figure out, who is this guy? Who is this guy? But, so I agree that he was better in Arkham Asylum. And if you want to talk about boss fights, terrible. I agree. I don't know if... I'm trying to think of, like, one really good one off the top of my head. I'm sure there's, like, one or two that are decent. Nothing great, though. The combat's just better in and of itself. Repetitive side quests, of course, I agree. I think most people agree on that. There are some that are good. I like the Harvey Dent bank robberies. I like the pig side mission. There are a few that I like, but for the most part, quite repetitive. Saying you didn't want Joker in the game, it's like, I understand why people believe this, right? He was in the game for the first 3 games, so people kind of got tired of him, and this felt like a forced way to add him into the game. I believe that there is a little bit of, like, complexity to it when you talk about the Joker blood plot. It carries over into Arkham Knight. I'm sure that people could explain it better than I can. I find it a bit confusing at times. And, yeah, no explanation for how Scarecrow survived from Killer Croc. Yeah, no explanation. My theory was that he probably injected him with fear toxin. That was the one thing I came up with. Now, the story DLCs, most of them did suck. I will agree with you, right? Nightwing, Robin, Harley Quinn, you name it. A Matter of Family was really good. But outside of that... Oh, and Season of Infamy. Those were good. The rest of them sucked. The ending was fine. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Joker sequences, but that is what it is. Harley Quinn, I agree, wasn't great. And overall, like, yeah, you could argue there was too much Batmobile. Mostly in the story. The side missions I was fine with, but in terms of the story, yeah, way too much Batmobile. Cobra tanks, awful. So I agree with some of the things that you have to say here. I don't think it's as bad as you make it out to be, but I do see where you're coming from. Our last and final hot take of the video comes to us from Luna Light 212. And he says, Arkham hot take. Arkham City has the worst storyline. It feels like a wild goose chase, jumping from target to target. The twist with Ra's is stupid and pointless, and ruins Hugo's character. Talia and Bruce have zero chemistry, and the Clayface twist is just a random excuse for a finale boss. It's giving no explanation on how or why he's there. Origins has the most tidy storyline. I want to make a slight correction. There is technically an explanation given as to why Clayface is there, right? Because Clayface is an actor, and he said it himself. He wants to play the role of a lifetime, be able to play the role of the Joker. It's not a great explanation, but I guess you could argue it's better than no explanation. But I will agree, Talia and Bruce, yeah, they don't have the most amount of chemistry in the world. I don't personally care for that romance. I think that's kind of meant for, like, the teenage boy crowd. Kind of like, ooh, look at this hot girl with the boobs. Like, I think that's just mostly what it was about. Having Ra's as kind of the backbone, it kind of makes sense because he kind of stands for similar values as Hugo Strange of trying to get rid of the evil and the corruption and wanting to kill the bad guys, essentially, doing what Batman won't do. So it kind of makes sense that they would team up together, but of course, the backstabbing is a bit of an odd choice. I think it's only because Hugo Strange knows Batman's identity, and we don't obviously want that revealed. But I've kind of seen this consensus when it comes to the Arkham City storyline. People either think it's just like a random goose chase, but some people think it's great storytelling. So I used to believe that it was a wild goose chase. I've even said this before in videos. But after playing it, I've kind of come to the realization that I think that's what being a superhero is kind of all about. It's a lot of running around, right? If you look at superhero movies and TV shows, that's what a lot of it is a superhero running from one place to the next to try to stop the bad guy. That's kind of what superheroes are, and that's kind of what makes them work and how you can drag on TV shows and movies for so long. So I think that's just kind of part of how it goes sometimes. I think it's meant to show that not everything's going to work out so cleanly. It's not as simple as, I see bad guy, I stop bad guy. Sometimes it's going to be chaotic, and things are going to get in your way, and people are going to try to stop you. Stuff like that happens sometimes. So I think that's part of the reason why it kind of could feel like a wild goose chase. The only part of it I didn't like was like the jammer section, where you had to take out those 3 jammers. Not a personal big fan of that, but outside of that, I thought it was a good story. Probably my favorite Batman Arkham game. And as for Origins has the best and most tidy storyline, I don't think that's much of a hot take. I think that many people would agree with that, which, isn't that crazy that, like, when the game first came out, Arkham Origins had the most amount of hate. Everyone hated it because it wasn't made by Rocksteady, because Joker was in the game. But as time's gone on, this game's aged like a fine bottle of wine. But guys, this has been reading your Batman Arkham hot takes. If you guys have more, drop them down in the comments below and I'll make sure to get to them. And maybe I'll even make a video giving you my top Batman Arkham hot takes. One of the videos I wanted to make coming up here in the near future is actually doing a Batman Arkham City challenge video to see how many Riddler trophies I can collect in 1 hour. I thought that'd be kind of fun, something that, you know, would kind of build a little bit of suspense as the video goes on. I thought it'd be something that'd be really fun for me to make. A gaming challenge video, I like making those style of videos too. So let me know what you guys want to see down in the comments next. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace!